Hey guys, so let's get started. So once again, my name is Eric Lucrezia from Candidate Coach, and we're going to do a workshop today all about LinkedIn and how to use it in a way that will have you with a profile that's more attractive and more effective at getting you what you're looking for, probably a job or getting into school. And as we don't have a huge group today, why don't we? I'm going to ask you all to turn on your microphones, and just introduce yourself really quickly, your name, where you're from, and maybe let us know if you're using LinkedIn already or not. So I'll call you out so you know who to respond first, right? So let's start with Ivan. Mhm. Okay. And are you currently using LinkedIn? Do you currently use LinkedIn, or you want to get started on how to use it? Okay, cool, great. Olena.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Elena. I am an illustrator. I am from Kiev. And yeah, I also used LinkedIn. I'm trying to apply for a new position.
Nice. Are you looking for a job or an internship?
Yes, I'm looking for a job. I'm 27 years.
Okay, great. All right, Halina? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Halina? I can see you've unmuted, but we don't hear you. All right, maybe your microphone's not working. Olga?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Okay,
Now,
go
can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, it's something with my microphone. Yeah, I'm currently also searching for a job, and I really want to change my field, I think, rapidly. So yeah, also would like to use LinkedIn for this, and I'm 28 years old.
Okay, great. So maybe this would be something useful to help you get into a grad school or an MBA program that could help you change your field. But we can talk about that later. All right. So what about Olga? All right, we'll skip Olga for a moment. Nizar? We can't hear you. You might have to turn on your microphone. All right, we'll let you figure that out. I'm going to move on to Valerie.
Hello, I'm from Zaporizhia and I am student in Zaporizhia Polytechnic too, like Ivan. I'm 21 and I also use LinkedIn.
Okay, great, fantastic. So you already know you said you're in school with Ivan? Okay. All right. Valerie, you want to try your microphone? Well, I might be pronouncing your name wrong. Yulia?
Hello, nice to meet you again. I was in a previous workshop regarding CV. So I also use LinkedIn for my job, and I would like to know new tips and how can I upgrade it to be more interested by companies and recruiters. So yeah,
Great.
thank
Thanks.
you.
Olga, is your microphone working now? All right, maybe not. That's okay. So a couple of things to get started off. First of all, LinkedIn it's been around for probably 20 years now, and it's really exploded. And to make a couple of differences between LinkedIn and some of the other social media platforms, it really is designed for business, for any kind of professional connecting, compared to Facebook, which is obviously much more social. Interestingly enough, on Facebook, you can have a maximum of 5,000 connections, and LinkedIn, you can have up to, I think, 30,000 now. So you can have a much broader network, and depending on what your goals are and what you do and how active you on it, that might be interesting for you to know. It's similar to Facebook in the sense that when you're connected to people or you're following groups, companies, or schools, you'll have appearing on your newsfeed whatever they're posting. And it's a great way to learn a lot of things. LinkedIn is not just about connecting with people, it's about learning things. And I would argue you're going to learn a lot more things from LinkedIn than you probably would from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Things that are relevant to your future, for your education, and for your career. I also really recommend downloading the app on your phone and to get into the habit of checking it just as regularly as you check other things like Instagram. And probably you'll learn a lot more interesting things than Instagram, which is often just pictures of like people, their lunch or their cat. Whereas what you can get from Instagram can really line you up for getting into school, for getting a job, and meeting key people that is going to really change the trajectory of your career. Like they always say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And while obviously you need to be trained and you need to be able to be qualified and skilled for a certain job, Having connections with people in the right places can really help you get the job over someone else who doesn't. And I wanted to bring up a concern that someone expressed to me not that long ago. It was somebody who I met at an MBA fair, or a master's fair actually, who was saying that he was, more trying to just connect with people that he really knew, or if he really had something specific to use, rather than just connecting with loads of people. And I make the case that it's not the same as like maybe Facebook, where you want to only connect with people that you actually know. It might sound a bit superficial to worry about what people think of you. Well, hold on, someone's trying to get into the room. Let me just admit them. It might sound a little bit superficial to be worried about what people think of you, but after all, this is about business. So getting admitted to top business schools or masters in other programs like social sciences, even med school, law school. I mean, schools are really the gatekeepers for your future, and perceptions really do matter. Just as they do for getting jobs or internships, or even gaining investors if you are an entrepreneur and you're starting at the company. And so you need to build confidence in the people about you and about your ideas. So LinkedIn is not only a platform for you to learn things and connect with people, but also to show the world your expertise, what you think about, your position on things. It is really a platform to express yourself and to connect with people on a level that can really help you get into school or get into a job. People are also very connected with many other people. So relationships are often built by leveraging previously existing relationships. So for example, say you're applying for a master's program somewhere. And of course, when you apply for the program, they're going to Google your name, not just look you up on LinkedIn, but they're going to Google your name and see how you are represented online on various social media platforms. But just speaking about LinkedIn, if they see that you're connected with many alumni from the school or some of the admissions officers, as well as people from other schools, which are in competition with them for top talent, right? For the best students, that relationship, they say, oh, you know this person, oh, how do you know them? And it kind of opens the door for communication and creates curiosity about you, which could be an opportunity for them to ask questions and figure out, okay, this person is probably the right fit for our school or for our job or for the internship that you're applying for. But if you're worried about your newsfeed being let's say polluted by posts from people they don't really know, you can also unfollow people but still remain connected to them. So in other words, you can connect with somebody and then afterwards click unfollow, so you won't receive anything on your newsfeed that bothers you. But personally, I don't recommend that. You just keep scrolling past it. I mean, you never know what you're going to learn, and honestly, it could be super interesting. So hopefully I've made a good argument that LinkedIn is super useful and that you should get into the habit of checking it regularly. The other thing that I would recommend is get into the habit of connecting with people regularly. It doesn't really help if you have a profile set up and you're not regularly adding people to your network. And I think, honestly, every day is an opportunity to network. It's an opportunity to make new connections. And not just at networking events, right? Events that are specifically designed for work or for school. But you could be riding a train somewhere, get into a conversation with the person sitting next to you. And if they sound even remotely interesting, or if they have some skill or work for a company that would be interesting for you, at the end of the conversation, just say, hey, could we connect on LinkedIn? And most people will say yes, assuming they have a profile. It's a pretty non-threatening way to connect with people, where the tone, like the context, is for sure professional or academic. Like, it's not usually seen as like, oh, this person's just hitting on me or just wants my phone number for something outside of professional reasons. So it's a pretty non-threatening way to connect, rather than say, oh, can we exchange WhatsApp or Instagram? It definitely is the more professional tone for anything academic or professional. So riding on a train is one example, or at a bar or at a party, or who knows? But really, every day is an opportunity to connect with people, and you never know what that connection can become. Who knows? That person might end up working in the HR office for the company that you're hoping to work for, or maybe they went to school somewhere that maybe in a couple of years from now you want to apply for, say, an MBA program, and they went to that school or work at that school. You never know. So I really highly recommend have a profile that's updated, and I'm going to show you how to do that well right now. Have it on your phone, have the app on your phone, check it every single day. I mean, it doesn't have to be obsessive, but just get into the regular habit. And then when you meet people in the real world, always think, oh, could we connect on LinkedIn as well? That said, I'm going to share with you my profile and go through a couple of things that you can do pretty quickly to make your profile more, like I said, more attractive and more effective in working for you. So I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully you can see my LinkedIn profile. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. I'm just going to make it full screen. Okay. So mind you, you're seeing my LinkedIn profile as it is mine, right? It's not exactly how it would appear to the public because I can also edit it, as you see like the little pencil there. So a couple of things I want to point out, like a couple of the main features before I get into some suggestions on how to change it. You see up at the top, you have the profile picture. You have this large picture, which some people call a banner pic or a cover pic, like they say in Facebook. You have my name, and just below my name, you can put a tagline about yourself, either like your title or something that could be like looking for XYZ job. Okay, you have my location, contact information. You have the connections, which because it's myself, I can click on it. Or if you're directly connected to me, you can click on it and see who my connections are. Otherwise, it will just say like 500 plus, and you can't click on it. Then usually what appears is the About section, which if you click See More, you can expand and see what I've put there. Let's talk about that in a moment. Featured has to do with posts. I'm pretty sure this appears on the public facing side too. If not, it's activity. And if you click on Show All Activity, you can see all activity, articles, posts means things that I directly post versus all activity, which includes things that I liked or commented on, right? So that's the difference. Post is things that I specifically posted myself. All right, I'm gonna go back. And then your experience. So this is like the real classic stuff, right? Stuff that would be on your CV. So all your experience, usually in reverse chronological order. And obviously that kind of like runs parallel to your CV, right? And honestly, if you're applying for any job or any kind of degree, bachelor's, master's, MBA, law school, PhD, you want to have your LinkedIn up to date with all your experiences. It kind of, the two go hand in hand these days, and it's just expected that you have that. Especially if you're going to business school, anything related to business, marketing, finance, consulting, accounting, like if you don't have this up to date, it's going to raise questions. They're going to be like, what's wrong with this person? That's how important it is. If you're going to any kind of international program, absolutely. So experience, then you have education, expand that as well. I have some volunteer experiences. Then the skills section, this is really important. A lot of people don't think about that, but this is very important to add on. I'm going to talk about that more in a moment. Recommendations. In my case, I have a few publications. I've published a series of books about getting into MBAs in different countries. Languages, and then interests. I'm just going to break down interests for a second. Interests are 4 categories. One is like top voices, which are, you could say, influencers. So expand that, you can see. These are just pretty much famous people that have profiles on LinkedIn that share things that can be really insightful. It could be an opportunity for you to comment or reshare something. It shows what you're interested in, what you think about, and so forth. So interest is the first one, our top voices. Companies, it's pretty clear, as well as schools. Just to say one thing about schools, a lot of people have the wrong idea about schools. They think they're supposed to just put the schools that they went to, and that's not true. You can follow any schools that are interesting to you, any schools that either inspire you, like everyone knows Harvard, right? Harvard University, one of the most famous schools in the world. Probably they're publishing things that are interesting or exciting and maybe interesting for you. Also schools that you're considering going to. Any school that's on your radar that you're potentially considering, you definitely want to follow them, because on your newsfeed, you're going to see everything that they're posting and learn not only what they're focusing on, but any updates to that school, like new programs, new scholarships, some interesting thing or article from a professor, loads of things that schools could post that are very interesting to you. On top of that, like if you're applying for a school, you're probably going to have opportunities before your official interview to sit down and talk to either admissions people or alumni. A lot of times they offer alumni coffee chats or cocktails. And these are opportunities to not only network, but learn things about the school. And this way you can be up to date on what that school is talking about and speak intelligently about their latest stuff. So that shows that you're let's say well-researched, that you care, you're motivated. It looks really good. The other thing is that by following multiple schools, it shows them the other schools that you're looking at. And don't forget, they're also in competition with each other for top talent, right? For the best students. So it gives them a little bit of a idea, oh, it's not just us they're looking at other schools. So, and the last category is groups. And groups range from a number of things. So as you can see, this one says Recruiters for Ukraine. That may be how you heard about this event. AGAC is the association I belong to about admissions consultants. But there can be fun ones too, like French Connection. There's like, this is my high school. There's like French wine lovers. There's one, wine bloggers. So groups can range any kind of interest. So that's useful to follow. And here's a little like secret of LinkedIn. Coming back up to the top, like as you see, this is my profile. But if I were to go to, let's see, I'm just going to take an example of somebody who signed up for this event. All right, so this person I'm not connected to. That's why it says third. LinkedIn will rank people either first, second, or third. And first means you're directly connected to somebody. Second means that you're not directly connected to them, but someone else that you're connected to is connected to them. So they're like 2 steps away. And third is even further. There's no common people, right? So first of all, you see how it says message here and it's locked, because if you haven't paid for the premium LinkedIn, and there's a few kinds of paid versions of LinkedIn, which I don't think are necessary for any of you at this time. If you haven't had a premium account, then you can't message people directly. It suggests try it free for like a month. But if you're in the same group, going back to groups, down here, if you're in the same group as somebody, then you can. So for example, you click on groups, and if I click on an example of a group, you can see other people in this group because it's listed, right? So it's public. But I don't want to open that. But if you click on the name of somebody you're not connected to that shares the same group as you, it's kind of like a backdoor way to connect with them. And that could be useful. Say, for example, you're looking to work at a company. Let's take an example, Accenture. And you know who the hiring manager is at Accenture, but you wouldn't dare connect with them or request a direct contact with them because, first of all, you don't know them. Second of all, they're probably solicited by loads of people, and you don't want to be that annoying person, that's doing that. But if you can see their profile and see what groups they're in, and maybe join a group or two that they're part of. And by like being active in that group, they can start seeing your name. You also have the possibility to send them a message, even though you're not connected to them. Just like I cannot with her because we're not connected, but it's like a backdoor way to message people without paying for a premium profile. So let's come back to the top. Here's my profile again. You want to have a picture. First of all, you want to have a picture. Some people don't have one, and I know some people also have a picture, but they have it on like private mode where you can't see the picture unless you're connected to them. I think that's a bad idea. I think it looks either kind of suspicious or lazy. It's like, why does this person not have a picture? I'm sure there could be some people that have concerns for maybe safety reasons or some reasons that I don't know about why they don't want to. But in general, I think it's always a good idea to have a picture, something that shows you as professional, but also approachable. So, give people like desire or interest into getting to know you, into connecting with you, and not just this faceless person that looks a little bit strange. Second of all, the cover picture or the banner picture they have up top. What to put there? I see a lot of people that don't put anything. And again, I think that looks just kind of lazy. If you have no picture, let's see, like this person, sorry to pick on this person who I don't know. But there's just this greenish kind of box there. And what's that? You want to put something there that I usually recommend to people to put an image that represents either the field that they work in or the field they want to work in the future, or where they are. I'm based in Paris, as you can easily recognize by the Eiffel Tower in the foreground. But I also work in business. And so the background for anyone who knows Paris well, that is the skyline of the business district in Paris called La Défense. And I just think it's a beautiful picture with the sunset, with all the yellow. I like it. So it's something that kind of expresses, well, the fact that I'm in business, where I'm located, and it's just aesthetically pretty, in my opinion. So that's what I've chosen to put. But yeah, like I said, anything that you work in, where you are, or like hobbies or anything that you're interested or passionate about, especially if you're somebody who's in like graphic design or anything on the creative side, put something that shows your creativity. Could be particularly your own work. So anyone looking to work in those kind of fields, highly recommend you have something visual. This is like one of your first opportunities to sell yourself and to show your work. All right, let's move about pictures. In the tagline, where it says MBA consultant, author, vidcast host, think of something that's short, catchy, that explains who you are in a really quick way. And then with contact information, you can choose how much or little you put in. If you want to put your birthday, you can. You can put it with or without the year. You can have a contact email, phone number. I have my website, Twitter, and so forth. Just so you know that this contact information does not show up unless you're connected to somebody. So if you, say, for example, are looking for a job or an internship, and you want people to be able to reach out to you, they won't be able to see this information if you're not already connected. So a backdoor way to do it, another LinkedIn little secret, is you can add it to your About section. So if you scroll down to that, notice how I have some of this information here. I have my YouTube channel. This is the website where my books are for sale. I have the website right here, and I direct people. I say, they can reach me there. I specifically say, if you want to contact me, send an email to this email address. So people who are not connected to me already aren't blocked. They have a way to send me email. They can get to my website and see what I'm all about. They can purchase my books. They can see my YouTube videos. Everything's available. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Some people want to add their phone number in the About section. You can try it out. If you find that you're getting, spam calls or spam emails, you can always take it out later. But what's most important, have like a paragraph or two that explains who you are. You don't want to have like a 10-page thing. Personally, I don't even think my About section is that great. It's average, because I feel like this section, which explains who I am and what I'm about, is a little bit hidden in the other stuff. But for the moment, I've decided to set it up this way. So again, you don't want to have like a 10-page story about you, because let's be honest, nobody is going to read it. Just have something that kind of gets to the point, that says what you are. If you're, say, an entrepreneur and you have some kind of product or service, a quick explanation of what it is, something to catch people's attention. Excuse me. And yeah, that's it. It explains who you are. Then the activity section. So if we're already connected, you probably know this already, but I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm posting things, sharing things, commenting for my coaching business, as well as the vidcast that I host. It's called MBA Waves, by the way. Me and my intern team are posting things all the time. So you see like regular, somebody's trying to get in. Great. Let me get back to the screen. There we go. You'll see, regular posts and stuff all the time here. If you have LinkedIn and you haven't posted anything in a while, it'll say exactly that. It'll be like, oh, this person hasn't posted in any time recently. And I think it looks a little bit bad. If you're using LinkedIn, use it. And, try to like get into the habit of posting something once a week. You're probably posting things on Facebook or TikTok or wherever. Try to add that to your repertoire. Once a week isn't too demanding. And if not posting, at least commenting or liking something that someone you follow, someone you're connected to, someone that's in the same groups as you, something's going to catch your eye. Whether it's about current events, could be about, the war in Ukraine, could be about that earthquake in Turkey, could be about the strikes in France, whatever is catching your eye. Could be more about academics, like something that you see, for example, last November, there was big news because Kellogg Business School, which is based in Chicago, they made a really bold move and decided to waive the GMAT. So if you don't know what that is, let me explain. The GMAT is a test that is used for getting into business school, and pretty much any top school is going to require that, and it's extremely competitive and challenging, and that is one of the main measuring sticks for deciding admission into these MBA programs, as well as master's programs in business. And they made a decision for anyone who was laid off by big tech, so like Facebook, Twitter, Uber, and a bunch of other companies. They decided to waive the GMAT, meaning that they did not have to take it. That was a big deal because this test is pretty much respected and used worldwide for any serious business school. And they decided to make, that was big news. And so everyone was talking about that. So reposting that, making a comment on that, it just shows that you're paying attention, that you're involved, that you're interested, and so forth. All right, so that's about activity, and just stay active. Experience is pretty straightforward. As you start entering your experiences, LinkedIn prompts you. Like, for example, I'll show you right here. Click plus, add a position. You put the title that you're in. I'll just use the example, retail sales manager. You obviously want to spell it right. Like I just did not. And see, it gives you options you can choose from. Let's go with internship. I'll put the company name. Now, as you type in a name, like for example, I typed in Accenture, you can click the actual one. That's cool because it will show the logo of the company on the side. If you work for a small company that's totally unknown, it's possible that they're not listed in LinkedIn. My company, which is called Candidate Coach, as you can see on the left, is registered on LinkedIn, so it has the company logo appear, which is great. It's a nice visual aspect that is recognizable. I mean, obviously the world doesn't know Candidate Coach, but if I worked for McKinsey or Coca-Cola or Exxon, for sure they have their company registered on LinkedIn and their logo shows up, and that's good brand recognition. And you probably have seen some people's CVs that decide to do that too. They'll have that little icon as a visual brand recognizer, showing that you've worked for some major companies. As you can see this one over here, I was self-employed as an English tutor a bunch of years ago, and there's no logo for it, so it looks a little bit worked at ESSEC Business School for 6 years. I was in charge of MBA recruitment, and before that, a few other experiences, mostly in education, besides being a real estate agent, but that was cool too. And what I often recommend people on their actual CVs, the paper CVs, is first of all, keep it to one page, especially if you're under 30. Like, you do not need to have a 2 or 3 page CV. Like, this is your opportunity to really focus and get to the point and have impact with as little time wasting as possible. I'm 46 years old, and even my CV is just 1 page. And speaking of CVs, you can upload that to LinkedIn, which I'll show you in a moment. But here, as I said, LinkedIn is kind of a complement to your CV. So if LinkedIn is if your CV is going to be just focused on the things that are relevant for the position you're applying, whether it's a job, or internship, or getting into school, on LinkedIn, you can put everything. So you have all sorts of stuff here. And like on my resume, I wouldn't put that I've been a real estate agent. I wouldn't put that I've been an English teacher. As you get older, you obviously have more and more experiences, and you're not going to fit everything onto your CV. The way to get around that on your CV is you can title the section relevant professional experience rather than just work experience, because it indicates that you're not necessarily including everything, and there's more things which they can see on your LinkedIn. So you see how they work hand in hand. But for each experience, you definitely want to have where it was, the title, the dates that you were there, where. So, for example, here at ESSEC Business School, Paris. And here you can see the reason why they do these dots is because it's showing 2 different roles at the same company. So I was the recruitment manager for 3 years, and then I was moved up to director, and I was there for 3 more years, all within the same company, total 6 years, 4 months. So that's what that's about. And similarly with education, you can do the same thing. So you have the name of the school, the kind of degree, was it bachelor's, master's, PhD, in what, so education, when, and so forth. Also, you could put additional things like scholarships or honor societies or graduated magna cum laude or whatever it might be. You can also add those details to your education. Volunteering. I'll just make mention that for a lot of schools, they really appreciate volunteer experiences, especially in North America. There's a real culture. For those of you living in North America already, you might know this. Those of you who are thinking about living, working, or studying in North America know that volunteering, charity work is really part of the culture. And so if you've done any of that, you definitely want to include that because they'll appreciate that. If you haven't done any and you're thinking about living, working, or studying in North America, you should consider doing something volunteer now so you can add that to your CV later and that will help you out. Just going to do a quick time check. All right, cool. All right, coming back to LinkedIn. So the skills section. So this is really important. You can put up to 50 skills, which I have done, but I'm also 46. I think most of you are in your 20s, and probably it's not necessary to have that many. You want to have maybe between 15 and 25 skills for sure listed on your skills section. So if I click show all 50, you can see all the different skills. And notice that for a lot of them, you see 43 endorsements. Oops, didn't mean to click that. 43 endorsements, 37 endorsements, and so on. So it's one thing for you to say you have this or that skill, and it's quite another for 43 other people to say, yeah, he does have that skill. You see how that works? And so you can also filter by different kinds of skills like industry knowledge, tools and technologies, interpersonal, languages, and so on. And I'll just point this out. A lot of times people forget to put their native language. So obviously you speak Ukrainian, I assume you speak English, very likely you speak Russian, and perhaps some other languages too. Put all of them. They will only help you because any language skill is useful, even if you're working in, say you're working in the States, but the fact that you might also be able to speak in German is definitely a valuable skill for a company potentially, as if they have partners, clients, suppliers that are based in Germany, well, that's great to have another person on the team that can speak the language. So definitely include all the language skills. But what I was saying about skills, think about what you've done. Think about skills you may have either from school, from jobs, internships, or maybe something totally unrelated to school, like you're on the soccer team and you're the captain, and maybe that's a leadership position, actually. That's super valuable, especially as you're younger and you haven't had as many opportunities as somebody as experienced as I am. A lot of times the skills that you have picked up and can demonstrate and talk about on your CV and your LinkedIn come from outside of work experiences. So I mentioned sports teams, especially any team sports, soccer, basketball, football, hockey, but also maybe musical groups, volunteer organizations, anything that you've done with your time, you want to list those skills. And this is also why it's super important to grow the number of connections you have, because the more people you have, the more people that could potentially say, yes, this person has this skill. And so what you want to do, and it's totally normal, is like once you've added the skills that you want, like I said, people in your 20s, think between 15 and 25 skills is a good number to list. Start asking your contacts if they can endorse you. So what I would do is you just click over your connections and I'm just doing an example here. Just send a message to say, hey, Esther, hope you're doing well. I'm just trying to improve my LinkedIn profile. Would you mind endorsing me for a couple of skills? That's it. And almost everyone says yes. And this way you have people endorsing your skills. And another thing I'll say about skills is that this is something you could include in your LinkedIn. Like once you've done this and you've gotten enough people to endorse the skills that they agree that you have, you start to get an idea of what people think about you. And maybe these are some skills that you want to include on your paper CV. So super important process. And in addition to skills, recommendations is great too. So I think I said most of you are around your 20s. It'd be a good idea to have 2, 3, 4 recommendations right on your LinkedIn profile. Now, this I would go about a little bit differently than just sending a quick message on LinkedIn for asking them to endorse your skills. For recommendations, this is a little bit more personal. They're going to write something a bit more detailed. It's going to take them a few minutes at a minimum to think about it, and it's a little bit of a process. And what I would usually recommend is to think about people that you've worked with or even studied with. People that if you say you were in a few classes together and you were, say, I don't know, lab partners, or you did presentations together, or it's a former professor or academic or career advisor, definitely anyone you've had an internship with, volunteer experience, whatever. Give them a call, send them a message on WhatsApp, send them an email, whatever. Make contact with them first, have a catch up, right? It's all about relationships. So it's not like you're just like using them for something, but show interest in them too. Say, how's it going? And then mention like, hey, I'm looking to improve my LinkedIn profile. I'm applying for jobs. I'm applying for internships. I'm applying to grad school, whatever. And I'd really appreciate a recommendation for you. Would you mind doing that? And you might want to offer writing one for them too. Like, for example, Ingrid, she put this one on February 23rd. She's a former colleague of mine. She later was on my team when I became director of recruitment. And we caught up after not speaking for maybe like 9 months. So we both did references for each other, recommendations. So the way it works is like this. Once you get their agreement to do it for you, it's super important that they know, because the fact that you've taken the time to call them, that reconnects you guys on an emotional level, on an intellectual level, and they're probably more likely going to actually do it for you. Whereas if you just send a message like for the skills, they might not even check their LinkedIn. So now that you've got them on board, then you're gonna have to send them a request through the system. So you click plus, you can choose ask or give, right? So in this case, ask for recommendation, search for people. So let's try someone. I'll do one of my former bosses, Craig Harris. All right, click continue. They asked, how do I know Craig? So he managed me directly. When I was at Long Island University here. And there's a kind of template, right? But you can write whatever you want. Hey, Craig, blah, 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 blah. Great talking to you yesterday. Congratulations on your second child, whatever. It would be great if you can send me a recommendation here. And then you send it. And once they do it, you're going to get a notification via LinkedIn saying you have to approve it. So don't forget that final step. You actually have to approve the recommendation that somebody's done for you, and that'll appear on your profile. And if you've had this conversation with somebody and you said, okay, I'm going to send it right now, and then you do it, and then like 2 weeks go by and still nothing, don't be afraid to send them a message. Like, people are busy, people forget, people with all the right intentions to help you out, they just get distracted. So you got to stay on top of people. Don't be shy. But you definitely want to get like, I think 3 is a good number for if you're in your 20s. If you're in your 30s, 40s, try to get like 5, 6. These really help. It's, as you know, LinkedIn is public facing. So people who are interested in you and hiring you or admitting you into their program, they're going to want to see some recommendations, that there's people out there in the universe that think you're A, not a jerk, B, not crazy, C, have some skills and get along with people and can maintain relationships. So really important. Publications, not everyone has. But similarly, if you wanted to add one or edit, the buttons are right here. And yeah, so I have all my books up here. And I already mentioned about languages and interests. So that kind of rounds off everything I wanted to show you about LinkedIn, But some of the easy key things you can do, first of all, profile picture. It doesn't have to be a professional photographer. If you have one, great. But if not, just ask someone to take a picture of you, probably with a neutral background, looking professional, but of course, approachable. Doesn't hurt to smile. A cover picture that shows something of your interest. Don't have to make a big deal of it. You can change it in 5 minutes if you want to, or 5 seconds, I should say. And add your skills, grow your contact network, and ask those contacts to endorse your skill set. And that's it. So I am going to stop the share. If you can figure out how. Yes. Cool. So we have a few minutes. So I wanted to answer your questions. So feel free to ask me any questions right now. And if you want, I can pop up your LinkedIn profile and you can have a quick look and do some critique. Okay. Great. Do you want me to pop up yours and you can have a look? Or sure. Meanwhile, anyone else with any questions at the moment? Yeah, you can. I'm gonna see if I can find you just looking you up. Stepa. It was no. Stepa. Okay, great. Ah, okay. So first of all, I forgot something really important I wanted to say. I'm gonna come back to the screen share. Can you guys see Ivan's profile? All right, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna pop back over to mine. Do you guys see my profile? Great. Okay, two things that I totally forgot to say in the beginning. On the top right, you see it says English and French, or Français. This is a way to have your profile in more than one language. So obviously, all of you speak Ukrainian and English. You may very well want to have LinkedIn profiles in more than one. So here I can actually switch between the two. And yeah, I haven't really set mine up in French, but it's a way to do that, especially if it's a language like Ukrainian where you have a Cyrillic alphabet and it's pretty much unrecognizable to people who speak English, French, Italian, Spanish. You might want to have one in Ukrainian so people in Ukraine and maybe some other countries can understand your profile. But the different sections would be listed in Ukrainian, and you can write all the details of everything. So you basically have two versions, and I think you can have even three. The other thing I wanted to mention is you can edit your URL. So what I mean by that is if you look at the top in the search bar, see it says linkedin.com/in/Eric Lucrezia. It's not automatic that it looks like that. And if we look at Ivan's, as you can see, it's a mix of, so his name, right? Stepa -Ivan these numbers. Yeah. And so I assume you didn't choose this. This is automatic. On top of that, it has it in the Cyrillic alphabet, which might make it difficult for people outside of the Slavic world to find you. So, like when I did a search for you, for example, Ivan. Oops. Ivan Stepa. Do we have you there? No. So yeah, it can be a challenge if you have it in the Cyrillic alphabets in the Ukrainian language, which might be a good argument for having the two versions, do an English one and a Ukrainian one. So like I said here on the top right, you can have another version. But back to editing the URL, like I've changed it to just my name. Whereas with Ivan's, it's his name. Okay, that's a choice if you want to use Cyrillic or not. But then this number, which is totally useless, you can edit that to be just your name. You can try first name and then last name. If it's already taken, you can switch it around the other way. You can try a dash. You can try put one if you want. But the thing is that if you look at mine, it's just my name. That makes it easy to recognize, easy to remember. It's shorter than the long string of letters and numbers. And what I always recommend people to do is include your LinkedIn profile on your CV, on your paper CV. So like write out the whole thing so people, if they have to type it out, they can know it, but also make it clickable. So if they have the digital version of your CV, they can just click on it and it will open right up. So I definitely recommend everyone customize your URL and then use that one on your paper CV. But looking at Ivan's, first thing I see besides the cover picture, which, okay, he has the Meta logo. And he also has a nice profile picture. Okay, it's fine. And he has something that I have not mentioned. The fact that it says open to work. For those of you who don't know this, this is a badge that you can add. There's open to work is green. There's one that says hiring, which I think is purple. I've used that before when I've been looking for hiring somebody. It's a way to show that you're looking for a job, and I think it's super useful. Let's see, education. Okay, so you have your school there. You should see if you can find it searching in LinkedIn to get the school's brand's logo. That could be helpful. Skills, you have 6. Now, unfortunately, I can't read most of them. I understand C++. It's okay. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. But because the time is going to run out soon. Unfortunately, I think it's going to limit us to 1 hour, and it's wrapping up soon. But anyways, that's again why I think you should have another English version of this, because anyone who doesn't speak a Slavic language will not recognize what that's about. And then, like I said, get people to endorse it, basically to say yes, he has the skill. And for you have no references. You might want to work on that. And for interests, like you have some companies, definitely add any schools that you're even curious about, and then you can join groups as well as follow some influencers. So anyway, yeah. So for the rest of you, like I said, this is going to end like any minute. So thank you so much, and feel free to email me with any questions. If you want me to have a check on your CV or your LinkedIn, you can either email to me or you can actually reach out to me via LinkedIn. Feel free to add a connection, and we can have a chat. So it's still going. That's a good sign. I thought it was just going to cut off at 1 hour, but it's still going. So anybody else have any questions?
Yes, I'm having one question. I would like to ask about the headline and
Sure.
what is better to put in your profile as a headline.
Sure. Do you want to share the link for yours so we can see?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And so while you're doing that, I'm just going to ask, what do you mean by headline? Do you mean like the tagline under my picture, under my name?
Yes. For example, like should be like your current job position or something else?
It could be. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. Other than that, I think it should be to the point, and it should be like very easy to understand. And if the job you're doing right now is not like your real goal, like if it's just a stepping stone to get you to the next step, then maybe you don't want to put that. Like, you might want to put like what you're studied. So, for example, say you've studied computer software engineering, right? And you have an internship right now, you can still put software engineer because that's what you're trained to do. And but you could also put like you could put looking for a role as a software engineer. You could put intern software engineer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I sent you it via LinkedIn. If you can check it.
You sent it via my LinkedIn? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I found it. How do you say your name? Halina?
Yes.
Okay, so I found you. So, Chief Specialist of European Integration Strategy Department. Sounds pretty good. Chief Specialist of European Integration. So what is it? Integration of Ukraine in the European Union?
Yes, kind of in my field, but yeah, I think for most of the people, not getting you any information what you're exactly doing. So yeah, It's just like this original title. So yeah, maybe I could change it for something more, I don't know, more understandable.
I mean, because I know you're Ukrainian, that was like my guess. Okay, integration. So I assume it's integration of the country, but it could be other things. I mean, to be honest, it sounds quite impressive. It's a bit long, but it's not a problem, Let's see. Okay. What about the cover picture? You've chosen this kind of gray swirl. What is that?
It's I think I just chose it because it's one fragment from one architectural company, and they really produce a lot of cool projects in Norway. So I just liked it, but yeah, it's just I wanted something really not noticeable, I think.
Not symbolizing. So like not, because I mean, the role you have with Ukraine integration into Europe, I mean, what about something that shows the European and Ukrainian flag side by side? That's really a powerful message that like there's a kind of unity, that the goal is to integrate this country into the EU. It's just an idea. I mean, like, although that what you have is fine, to somebody who doesn't know this architect in Norway, it's not totally recognizable. It's a bit bland. It's a bit vanilla.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty pattern, like this kind of swirl, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, what is that? And considering that you're Ukrainian and probably you're passionate about, I guess, Ukraine joining the EU, like something that shows the symbol of those two groups, like Ukraine and it's an idea.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Eric, can you share the screen because we don't see it?
Yeah, I thought about it. Okay, sure, no problem. So I think you can see it now. So this is the cover picture she has, which, like I said, it's pretty, but it doesn't really do anything for me. It's not like having an added value. And this is what we call like real estate. Real estate meaning space or property that could be valuable. And so you can use this space to visually demonstrate what you're passionate about or what you're working on. And so 11 connections, that's pretty much nothing. So I definitely recommend you trying to get more. Same thing, like I said to Ivan, like if you can find them, this organization in CEC and here as well, in LinkedIn, you search for it by either spelling out the whole name or try the abbreviation. You never know how it's going to be listed. But
Yeah, sure, but unfortunately it doesn't have a profile. Yeah.
It's not the end of the world, obviously, and if it doesn't exist, there's not much you can do about it. But it always looks nicer visually to have a logo. Okay, bachelor's degree. So that was in 2018. You finished, and are you doing a master's now, or are you working?
Yeah, I'm just working, but of course, like
Yeah,
I'm thinking about the master. So yeah.
In public policy or foreign affairs?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I would also like to add maybe like a business if I would think about it. So
if it's business, that's my specialty. So we can talk about it if you want.
Okay.
So you have one skill.
Yeah, I still need to feel it.
For sure. I mean, I can pretty safely assume that in 5 years you've accumulated several skills since graduation from university. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so you're, what are you, 27?
I'm sorry?
You're like 27 years old or something?
28.
28, yeah. Yeah, so get like, I think you should have at least 20 skills, 25 skills.
Thank you.
Don't forget to get people to endorse. See this little button, endorse? Like if I click it, it will be endorsing your skill.
Okay, thank you so much.
I didn't know you, so I took it out. Somebody's trying to get in now at the very end. So anyway, and then so top voices, you're following 2 people. Okay, fine. I think probably you know more that are interesting to you. Any like world leaders, like maybe, I don't know, Zelensky or whoever's in charge of the European Union now, or Biden, or I don't know, anyone that inspires you from politics, could even be sports, sometimes like professional athletes or people from arts or entertainment. They also have some voices. They're not like artists in general. They're expressing themselves visually or through music or acting, and they often have a voice or a message.
The meeting is ended. Да. Извиняюсь, я там лазил немного в профиле, я случайно там нажал request to join. Sorry, that's my bad. Я просто нажимал на картинки, не более.